You guys are ready? Oh, God, this came so fast. You ready? Good evening, everyone. Happy December. Happy holidays. I would like to welcome you to the Community Redevelopment Agency regular meeting. It is Monday, December 11th, 5:30. Call the roll, please.
Chairman James.
Here.
Vice Chairman Harris.
Here.
Board Member Brandemart.
Here.
Board Member Grace.
Here.
Board Member Salvino.
Here.
Director Williams.
Here.
City Attorney Hansbrough.
Here.
Thank you.
And welcome, Director Williams, to Dania Beach in your first CRA meeting.
Thank you.
So hold on, let me turn this thing on. I didn't know if anyone had pushed the button. Okay. We don't have any citizens' comments. I guess we'll go straight to administrative reports.
Okay, I'm happy to report that the CRA held the second annual business luncheon last Friday at the Oceanographic Center at Nova Southeastern University. And we had about 40 folks in attendance, and the event went very well. We had two speakers, David Anderton from Port Everglades, as well as Dev Motwani from Merrimack Ventures, and investor in the Dania Beach community. We also have continued with our patch replanting efforts. So we're about 80% of the way through with replanting. We have 4,000 grow bags. Of those 4,000, we have roughly about 800 left to fill. We also have an upcoming event at the patch. It's our holiday event in conjunction with Family in Distress, as well as Conflict Coaches and Dismissed Charities. And I have a flyer here I'm just going to pass down to everyone. It's coming up on Saturday, December 16th from 9 to 2 p.m. We'll have live performances, an orchid workshop, toy giveaway, and free barbecue. So please try to attend and let your constituents know that we're having this great event on Saturday. Okay. We're also working with HR, the city attorney, and the finance department to move forward with the USDA grant and securing personnel via contract or otherwise. And in the near future, we're going to be planning grand reopenings for commercial entities that have been awarded the business facade grant. So we have TNT and Dockers that have completed their renovation. So we're going to be inviting you to a grand opening and figuring out your schedule so that you can all attend and celebrate. We also have been in talks with the Creative Arts Council to develop a downtown art and antique walk that would occur every month to try to revitalize the downtown, get some of those businesses excited, and get the community to come out and be involved. And so we are looking at a proposal that has been supported by the Creative Arts Council. And so something will be coming to you probably at the January meeting to formalize that. We are also 60% through the design phase of the TAP grant, and the streetscape projects have been under review by the county. And so I'll be updating you on that probably in January as well. I do want to talk to Chris about organizing an upcoming workshop with all of the board members so that we can strategize for 2018 and figure out what the vision is for the future of the CRA. So I want to have a workshop with all of you where we can talk and discuss, and so that will be coming through Chris. All right. And that's it for my administrative report.
Okay. Presentations. We're going to do the award to Mitchell Grant. Do we have the presentation?
What is it?
Some of this award.
CRA Conservation Award, Mitchell Grant.
Well, Mitch couldn't be here tonight, but we do want to acknowledge his service. And okay, we can have Kristen Milligan from HR to accept on his behalf. So Mitchell has been very instrumental in assisting the CRA, particularly with the 2017 Arts and Seafood Celebration, as well as the patch replanting. He has helped to make that process streamlined and more efficient, and he really has gone above and beyond the call of duty to assist the CRA. And we have a token of our appreciation, a little plaque here, and it reads, "Presented to Mitchell Grant in recognition and appreciation of your outstanding dedication, service, and going above and beyond the call of duty. Presented by the Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, December 11th, 2017. Yes, let's give a round of applause for Mitch in his absence.
Good job, Mitchell. Out there somewhere. But Mitch isn't here. Is she just standing? Or them two? Thank you.
Wait, she's not finished.
You're famous now. Thank you. All right. And next we have the consent agenda. Do we have any pulls?
Move the item.
Second.
I have a light on.
Who?
Yeah, is your light on? Okay, it's off. Call the roll, please.
Board Member Brandemart?
Here.
Yes.
Yes. Oh, I thought we were doing it all over again. Yes.
Board Member Grace?
Yes.
Board Member Salvino?
Yes.
Vice Chairman Harris?
Yes.
Chairman James?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Discussion and possible action. We're going to speak about the CRA board meeting dates and times for 2018. Is there any discussion?
On resolution 3?
7.
No, this is about the CRA board meetings and
wait a minute.
dates and times. So we'll have 7.1.
Wait a minute. Listen,
Yes.
I must have got confused there. We approved the whole thing without pulling anything?
Yes.
I want to pull 3.
Okay.
So please make amendment. I
I
want
will-
to talk about it.
Okay.
I will remove my motion.
Thank you.
All right.
Okay.
Do you want to read the resolution or?
Yes, he needs to.
A resolution of the Board of Directors of the City of Dania Beach Community Redevelopment Agency, the CRA of the City of Dania Beach, Florida, amending the fiscal year 2017-2018 CRA budget by creating an additional position within the CRA and authorizing the Executive Director to advertise and fill the position, providing for conflicts, further providing for an effective date.
Okay. With all due respect to the lady that I suggest to be the head of the CRA, this your first meeting, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, and it's really bothering me to say about creating an additional position on the board already when we didn't even start to get into it. Is it in your budget, or do you need a revision of a budget, or what? Anyway, I want to know what Dan does too.
Well, let me answer all of your questions.
Good.
The CRA budget will not be impacted by the addition of this position. Based on what has been budgeted and allocated for personnel, this position will not cause the CRA to have to expend any more funds on personnel for the fiscal year. One of the things that I am recommending later on in this meeting is an alteration of the contract with RMA. And as part of that, I want to maximize the utilization of my existing staff. So I have a CRA coordinator who is capable of performing many marketing and PR functions, but is not able to do so at an optimal level due to some of the other responsibilities in the job description.
So this is tied into 7.3.
Yes.
I wish it was the other way around, because I really want to understand why we need another position when we have capable people working there, But if you're gonna make some kind of change with RMA, then it would have been the other way around. I would have said that justifies it.
Okay. So,
Did you understand what I meant, Mayor?
I understand what you meant, and
Yeah.
I looked at this, and I know that we have Board Member Grace's light on, but just to put a little bit into it, there are things that we are trying to wean ourselves off of some of the
That's why I said it
services.
should have been the other way
from-
around, then I would have understood it better, Mayor. I
Okay.
got you now, and it's fine.
Okay, Board Member
Done.
Grace.
I have to concur with the fellow commissioner. First of all, I think that we really need to understand the titles that we have and the duties that they have before we keep adding people to it, not really needing them. I'm not at a point right now that I think that we need to add more people to the CRA,
neither.
and I truly don't. I think it's fine the way it is. I think that if we are not happy with the performance of some of the people on the CRA, and I say it like it is, and I
do too.
don't try to mend any points, then we need to remove those people from
make changes.
the CRA and get new ones that will be able to perform the job to the capability that we expect them to.
Raquel, I kept your, I'm sorry, I'm sorry, Mayor. Bing, okay, Chicky. All right, now here it is. Raquel, I kept all your paper from the first day that you were here, and what really turned me on the most to you is that you work with grants, I love that, believes in working with the city manager, which was great, agrees to explore city TIF, which was fine, feels graffiti is a problem with art on city buildings and public art. And also I asked, would you, and I asked it of everyone that came before us, do you have the nerve, more or less in New York talk, to get rid of your dead wood and put people in the positions that you know are going to help you the most? And your answer was, you have no problem being a leader. And I kept it all, and that's what made me want you very badly. So I agree again with Commissioner Grace over here. I need to know those things too, because too soon to put on another position.
That's true.
You haven't even warmed the seat for one meeting. But don't think that I am against you and the position. I'm not. The mayor more than let me know that 7 is tied into this. Then it would have been the other way around. That's all.
Board Member Salvino.
Thank you. Well, I understand it's her first meeting, and I think that we hired her on the position that we're going to let her try to do the CRA in a way that she shouldn't be restricted. I feel that as a leader of our CRA department, we should allow her to ask for these things and let her fail before we criticize the judgment that she's made. The reason for that is because if she's going to, we had talked before about RMA and not wanting to give them a contract, and my guess is that if she's going to hire somebody for that position, she's going to use somebody in her office to utilize that position and probably save us some money. And I think that you know, we're already not allowing her to utilize her abilities by restricting her. It can always change in a different position, but I think that, you know, I don't know, it's a pretty harsh to stop her already from what she's trying to do. That's just my opinion.
Fail? I don't think so.
I feel as if it's not costing us any additional monies. I think that the director has found a way to shift her budget in ways I have not sat with her and seen where she pulled money out of, put money into, or whatever she's done. I don't think this is the only change that she will make or keep or take away or maneuver or whatever, but I do think that as someone, we have a lot of expectations of her, that we have to give her some room to do what she is capable of doing without micromanaging her. And as long as it's not costing us extra funds, I am willing to explore what she has, because we don't know what's going to come of it. So that's my opinion. Board Member Brandon Marty, you're up next.
Well, I think Commissioner Grace beat before me, didn't you?
Well, okay. Well,
Yeah.
she can go first.
Failure is not in my vocabulary. It has never
Thank
been.
you.
So that's not why we hired her to make decisions to fail. We hired her to make decisions to make the CRA greater than it already is. Before whether it's costing us extra money or not costing us extra money, I think we should be caution and optimistic of how we're doing things. I think that we should see where the titles that we already have on the board, what their obligations are, what their duties are, before we hire someone else. Okay. And I don't think that there is a rush on this to do it right now. I seriously do not believe it. And so my philosophy and my take on this is that I'm not going to support it at this time.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to highlight that the position would be part-time, 20 hours a week maximum, and this is something that we can reevaluate as we get into budget season. But I think that the staff that I have now, as I've been evaluating them for this brief time that I've been here, I've already noticed that we're underutilizing a certain position because of all of the responsibilities and all the duties that come with that position. So I would like to take a position and really use it to its max rather than at the level that it's being used now. And I think the only way to do that is to bring in someone to do some of those invoices, payments, accounts payable, some of the day-to-day things that really take a lot of time, not necessarily a whole lot of skill, but take a lot of time away from someone that I think could be doing a lot more.
Vice Chair?
Yeah, I talked to, I had a 2-hour meeting with Raquel, I think last Friday, and then we had a long conversation today on the phone. But I mean, as far as, you know, working our way through the changes within the CRA, and, you know, if we think we need an extra person now, I think we should perhaps explore it and then reevaluate it in the middle of the year. So yes, I agree.
Any more discussion?
Yes. I don't want to be redundant, but I think that we need to look at this as a global picture. We just finished putting our budget together for the fiscal year. Not a lot has changed in the CRA since Jeremy, Earl, Rachel, and I'm hoping that it will absolutely be an upswing for us in the near future. But if this is the way that this board feels that they want to go, I tell you to do it, but not with my blessings.
Board Member Brandon Marty?
I don't like anyone saying that a person that we put in office, if they fail, you know, they're learning. I don't look at it this way. I look at it as a mother top side. I'm stopping you from failing. To me, it doesn't even look good to have to hire somebody right away. We don't even realize what people that you already have working for you, how they are overworked to the point that you need to hire another person. Furthermore, if that person's not needed, it's harder to let them go after you've already hired them, which this commission will have problems in the future seeing just on an employee. And that was on a position change. I'm just telling you that I don't agree with this, and to me it looks like, if anything, a bad first start, because I don't want to see failure. Okay,
do you all want to wait on the consent agenda until we discuss 7.3?
We could do that.
That's the way this whole conversation
we can do that.
started.
Do we have a consensus of it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to hold off on the consent agenda, and we're going to go back to discussion. And so let's just go to 7.3 first.
Sounds
we're going to
good.
just be unorthodox right now.
Okay.
And so we're going to go to the RMA, Marketing Consultant Services month-to-month agreement, which is revisited. And so I'll give it back to the Executive Director.
Okay, I just want to preface this by saying 7.3 also has some ties to 7.2, which is revisiting the Arts and Seafood Festival. So I just want to put that out there into the discussion. So I've been able to meet with RMA principals, Kim and Chris, and also their marketing staff, Sharon and Sarah, that I'm sure y'all are familiar with. And I've been able to evaluate what it is that they do as part of their month-to-month agreement. And I think there is opportunity for the CRA to take on a lot of that responsibility, a lot of that that work related to marketing, PR, and advertisement of what the CRA does, and bringing in people to enjoy businesses and to invest their money in the city of Dania Beach and the CRA. So in speaking to them, I did see areas where I think that their services may not be fully needed at the level in which they are charging. The consultant that we have is a senior consultant, so they're billing at a high rate, and some of the activities that the senior consultant performs is something that someone not at a senior level could accomplish. Whereas I think that we could do some of that in-house through one of our existing positions. I think if we do revisit 7.2, because of the timing, I do think that RMA would be an asset to the city just to perform a specific function at this time. And if we need additional services with marketing that's related to maybe printing or doing things that on a project-by-project basis, I would love to see those services go out to bid in a competitive process so that it's not just one firm that is getting all the work from the CRA. I do want to open it up to others to compete.
Board Member Brandon Marty.
Yes, Raquel, what would you consider a specific function that you would want to go with RMA, knowing that the Art and Seafood Festival, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, is going to be under the direction of our city instead?
The Arts and Seafood Festival has always been under the direction of the CRA with the assistance of RMA. So we have used them as a consultant to help with the marketing services for the Arts and Seafood Festival. And when that item is revisited and the board decides to go in another direction, I think it would be to our advantage to continue with RMA just for Arts and Seafood, because they've already done it and we can turn it out in a relatively quick time, and the investment that we would have to do in another firm to do marketing and consulting in this time period, I don't think it would be to our benefit. So if the month-to-month agreement is still in place, I think it should just be through the term of the Arts and Seafood Festival if it were to be brought back.
Board Member Grace.
Board Director, to balance this out, because you're talking about hiring a part-time person to replace what we have now. Financially, where are we with the two?
So at this time, the RMA contract is $5,416 per month, which would total to about $65,000 a year, of which we're already about 3 months into the fiscal year. And if we were to alter their contract, it would likely begin in February, because we'd give them notice and transition out of that month-to-month period, and then have, if permitted, have the new position come in and have a chance to, be trained formally so that we can be up and running.
At a salary of what?
The salary for the new person would be $18,300 per year. Again, we're already 1 quarter into the fiscal year, so it wouldn't be that full amount. We're looking at roughly $15 an hour, and we have, I think, is Kristen left? Well, we have the job description here, stating what that person would be doing. I've also provided the job description of the CRA coordinator, and I can highlight some of the things that they could be doing to fill that marketing space that they're unable to do now because of all of the other things dealing with finance. So we'd be in a better position financially if we reduced RMA's contract just to focus on arts and seafood and remove some of the other responsibilities in the month-to-month agreement.
Board Member Salvino.
Thank you. I think some of this is coming up because of the order that the discussion is coming up, and I think addressing this is what your approach, if I may say, and if I'm wrong, you can correct me, is that number one, you'd like to bring back the Arts and Seafood Festival this year. Number two, with that, if approved, then at that point you would take that person that you want to do is move that person into a position to help market along with RMA for this year, because if we were able to put the Seafood Festival together, RMA already knows what they're doing and they would be able to help us get started on this because of the time frame. At that point, you're looking at that point to move the person up at that point that's for marketing, and then move the other person in. I think the thing you need to find out first of all before you start going too far is how the board feels about reinstating, because I think we did vote it out for this year, but I think you need to find out whether or not you can get that approval. If you can't get the approval from the board, that this is all for not.
I don't want to wait, because you just confused me, so I'm just going to ask this question with you. This position this 5.3 isn't dependent, this position that you're asking for, it isn't dependent on the Arts and Seafood Festival, is it?
No, it is not.
No.
Okay. So what are you asking again?
Well, I think what I'm getting to is that I think that what's going to happen is that when just the overall picture of RMA, she's wanting to, what I believe is after the Art and Seafood Festival, if we approve the change, they would not be contracted anymore. And at that time, she would promote within her division to put a person in charge of the marketing program of one of the people she has working. And
I think she want to do that now.
Pardon me? Yes, but that it's just a couple. It's only a couple months early. She's talking about hiring a person in February or March, and the Seafood Festival would be in May.
No, she's speaking about hiring the person now.
Correct.
But how long does it take to get? Did you just say that you weren't going to be posting it until next month, and it wouldn't be filled till February or March?
No, this position may be advertised tomorrow. HR has already indicated that they can advertise tomorrow if needed.
Okay.
So this position could be filled by early January.
Okay. All right. But all right, that's fine. So the position you're looking at is to be filled right away. All right. Well, the thing is with the RMA though, the dollars that you're talking about saving has to still do with the fact that if she fills a position, we're still going to be. She's wants to do the marketing within for the remainder of the year. So it does kind of tie in a little bit with the fact that if we use the RMA, if we go to the Seafood Festival, that they would not be helping us after May, and then that person, the dollars again would just change into the favor of the budget.
Executive Director.
And if the Arts and Seafood Festival is decided upon to move forward, RMA's month-to-month contract would be significantly reduced if they were to just stay on for Arts and Seafood.
Right.
Okay. So I'm so confused right now. So what are we doing about this? Is discussion and possible action. So we're talking about the marketing and consultant services month-to-month agreement. What type of action are you looking for?
Well, I think I guess the logic behind putting it in this order would be to have some consensus on the other two items so that I could make a recommendation that is more definitive.
Okay.
So if you look at the agenda memo, it gives two scenarios. Mm-hmm. One of those scenarios is if we do arts and seafood, how would we want to utilize RMA, if anything? The other scenario is if we don't do arts and seafood, how would we want to break ties with RMA? And for that, I project ending their contract by January, so no more services rendered after January 31st, and then we just do everything in-house at that point.
But you would need the other person at that point.
And I think I will have that other person by then if that was approved.
Now I understand.
Okay, so do you want to go in order from 7.1, 7 point? Okay, let's go back to 7.1. Let's go to the meeting dates and times for 2018. I think this was brought on because of the time that we always have our CRA meetings, and right now we will only have 30 minutes left, and we're always rushing someone, and so we wanted to think about possibly extending the times. I don't know about the dates, what part that is, but I know that as far as the time, that was something that was a concern for me as well. So how do you all think about starting at 5:30 for the CRA meetings?
Does that seem rational to you that will give us an hour and a half before the regular city commissioner meeting?
Yes, I definitely think we need more time. Just watching previous meetings, I've seen where presentations get cut off. So whether an earlier time on the same day or another day altogether, I think we do need more time.
Vice Chair?
I agree with that because 5:30, 6 o'clock, and then we would have time for at least a 15 or 20-minute break between the meetings, and somebody would be here to serve dinner to us.
Board Member Salvino?
Yeah, I would think it'd be a good idea to try it for a while. We've always been pushed, and if it become the fact that we run out of time, or if we're done by 6:15, then maybe we can change it back. But I think with the opportunity of a new director and giving her a chance to, bloom into this job, I think we need to give her a little bit more time to start off with, and we can always change it if it doesn't work out.
Board Member Brandon Marty?
It sounds right. My only concern is people that work. If they want to attend these meetings, can they get here by 5:30? But I'm willing to go along with the rest of this board.
Well, it's not like we have a packed house. That's for sure.
I know, but you have the people that are most interested sitting there.
Absolutely. Do you see anyone missing that can't be here right now? Do you see anyone missing that can't be here right now? Like I'm
What do you
asking.
want me to do? Take a census? I don't know.
It's only.
I would like to make a motion that we move.
Hold on, we have more discussion. Vice Chair.
Really?
Well, and I think a lot of times when we're up here, we start at 6 and then we're here sometimes till 10 or 11 o'clock. So be able to start earlier and take a break. There's a little bit of social aspect in there where we can talk to our the people in the audience and walk around and have a break. So I think it's important because it's hard to sit here for 4 or 5 hours.
What were you looking for the dates? If it was on that date or the different date?
What's recommended is that we just start earlier on the same day.
Good.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's done. All right, now the Arts and Seafood Celebration revisited.
Okay. So the Arts and Seafood Festival has been a signature event, an award-winning event in the city of Dania Beach, and not only was I disappointed to conceive that the CRA would not be a part of a 2018 Arts and Seafood Festival. I heard from people that I've been meeting around town, that they really, really will miss the event if it didn't occur. More than that, I wanted to look into how we can make the event in a better position financially. So there are 3 strategies that I think we could utilize to turn the event around so that we experience an improved net operating cost over the last year. Those 3 things are a dedicated sponsorship professional who would seek sponsorships based on commission on a sliding scale. So the more they bring in, the more commission they would take home. Second, I think that one of the biggest issues from reading the minutes and hearing previous meetings is that the concessions were not of a top quality, and the pricing for both the customers that came in or the residents that came in, it was too high and the quality of food was poor, as well as the share that the city and the CRA was able to bring back. The third thing I think was a major issue was the production costs. And I think there's something that we can do there with the existing company who would be in their 3rd year, so they have an option to renew for 1 more year. But I see some cost-saving strategies that can be utilized to bring down the total event budget. And I think with sponsorships, we can be in a better position. So last year, our net operating cost was $120,000. I think that we can cut that in half and still have an event and not lose the consistency that both, the city expects and, other vendors that participate. A lot of people count on this as an economic activity for them for the year. And so I think there's ways for us to make it a viable event that is beneficial to the CRA, beneficial to the city, and not operate at a huge loss.
Board Member Salvino.
Thank you. I'm in favor of the seafood festival without a doubt, and I think that you're on the right track with some of the discussion that I had brought up earlier before it was turned down. I think that getting by this year, you can still produce the event as well if you get on it right now, especially with your aggressiveness. And I think there's a lot of support out there that can get done. If you're going to move it later in the year to maybe May, which would be in the middle of May, 1st of May, somewhere, still be fairly cool outside. It'd be, a good timing for it. I think that direction you're going on with a little bit more time in the following year, I think that you could probably get this with sponsorship and changing it around a little bit on percentages or with the cost to the promoter. We could get this down to where it would either be little to no cost to the city. You have to expect to put a little bit out to the city, to build it. That's what the CRA does, and it does need to expend a little bit of money for the residents. I mean, for the businesses as well to expose them. I think if you think you can cut it in half and you can get it done in time, I would be in support of that. I think you can do it. I think what you're talking about is a strong possibility, and I think that we have to. I think letting the people down, and especially the one thing that you didn't bring up, and I didn't hear it. I don't think you're saying it. That's without still charging the residents or anybody else. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so I mean, at this point, we're still in a position where we can still provide. If you can cut it in half, I think it's worthwhile for us.
Board Member Grace.
I had the opportunity last week to be in Orlando at the conference for the 67 counties that we have, the 412 cities and towns that we have in Florida. And I met Felicia Robertson, I believe from Miami Gardens, where you came from. And she explained to me that the Jazz in the Park, after having it all of these years, they are still losing money, but they're bringing together hundreds of thousands of people with the people that are coming in to entertain for the 2-day event. And I said, well, how is it that you guys can survive with losing money? You're a larger city than we are, because we're only maybe $31,000. She said they have an opportunity to get major sponsorships, major, big dollars. When I say that, I'm talking about perhaps the Marlins, the Miami Dolphins, the Heat. I don't know whether the University of Miami, but this is how they get their monies. I am not happy with the third component of the Arts and Seafood Festival. And when I say that, I mean the gentleman that has put it on for the last 3 years. I think that he actually took advantage of the city of Dania Beach in more than one way. And I'm serious when I say that. My first concern is to make sure that we spend the taxpayers of the city of Dania Beach money wisely. I love that Arts and Seafood Festival because it brought all of us together. The diversity that we have throughout the city was second to none. And if you look on some of the blogs that we received, there were people from Canada, there were people from New York, there were people from Texas that said they could not wait for the following year to come. So if we can cut out the main man, and I do that I guess it's tacky the way I'm doing it. But if we can cut him out and you be able to get the sponsorships that we need and the staff to work, I think that this will be a win-win situation, not only for the residents that are disappointed that we're not putting it together, but also for the city.
Okay, go ahead.
To address that, I think that I have gone through the contract of standing ovations pretty carefully, and along with my staff, we have looked at ways to reduce costs. The existing contract for standing ovations is $38,000. That was 2017's contract, and we are anticipating $25,000 for 2018.
But on
We've
top
also,
of that, not to cut you off, but on top of that, did he not only get the concessions for two?
No.
What?
This is why I think there was a miscommunication in what we thought. We thought standing ovations were also in charge of the concessions.
Yes.
They were not. Were they?
the concessions company is called Golden Gate.
Two different people.
They're not with standing ovation. So there was a concession company and there was a production company. So we are not looking at renewing any contract with Golden Gate because as I found out from reading the minutes, their service was not at the quality that the city deserves. And so I would not want to bring them back again. We have looked at the potential of going with a local company that does craft brewery, and they are in that restaurant space. And rather than $20,000 alone, which was what the upfront charge was for Golden Gate, we're looking at $20,000 plus 10% of the revenue from the food. So so whatever food sales are done for that weekend, we would receive 10% of that. And the way that we track that is to do centralized ticketing. So there would be one or two locations where you can buy tickets at $5, $10, $15, and $20 levels. And each vendor will have meals at those levels. So we can track how much food sales are actually happening, so we're not guessing, and wondering how much the concessionaire was able to take home. So I think that will allow us to have different price points for all members of our community and all tourists, and allow us to track better on the food sales. And so we'll know that 10% really is 10%.
That's something that I think we all, well, most of us, I can say, we had a misconception that standing ovation was in charge of the concession too, because when she broke it down to me, I absolutely said, wait, they're not all together. So standing ovation is not the company that had the two spaces and the $20,000 and what we were really upset about. That was the Golden Gate company. So I go ahead.
Is it my understanding that Golden Gate will not be coming back?
Correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct. And we will also have food trucks available. So there are a lot of people that enjoy food trucks, so we'll have that.
You got her now. Go ahead, board member.
Now you'll hear my mouth.
Go ahead.
My biggest complaint was prices. $35, 3 pieces of fish, family of 4, they can't even do it. When we approached the CRA at our very last talks on this, where we all voted not to have it this year, but to have it next year and make it bigger and better, for years we've been asking about food trucks, and they, as I recall, said it's too late to get the food trucks. How do you plan on doing that?
So I'm familiar with food truck vendors and food truck management companies that have a roster of food trucks that can be made available for that day if the board decides to move forward.
And the entertainment, I can't call commission, the mayor had brought out a point that I really loved, and that was we have local entertainers without, I'll tell you who drew a crowd like you wouldn't believe. This one here on my left. Her niece can bring the house down, and I don't see why we need anyone, that high-paying people from anywhere else, when we have such talent right here. And I believe The mayor brought that out too.
We welcome local acts to apply to participate in the seafood festival. We have talked about reducing the entertainment budget by $4,000 with the idea in mind that we will find some cheaper avenues to provide entertainment.
Well, put down Bobby Grace's niece.
Not cheaper, but quality.
She is, but she's quality all the way, and she draws people. She sings at our local businesses that have music anyway, and she draws a crowd.
Okay, we have to get through the other parts of this. So we have revisited the Arts and Seafood Festival. Is there a motion on the table?
I make a motion. We bring it
Discussion.
back.
Yeah.
Briefly, discussion.
Okay, go ahead.
As we're discussing to bring it back, which I'm happy about. The time frame and the date is very crucial because I don't want us to put something together that's going to be half. I want it to be whole.
Me too.
Okay, so what time frame are we looking at in particular?
Oh.
April's rainy, right?
It
A lot
can
of
be.
rain in April.
We've looked at dates in the springtime before it gets too hot. We're looking at May 19th and 20th, which is the weekend after Mother's Day and prior to Memorial Day, in anticipation that this event may happen. We have been talking to the different vendors, you know, the usual folks that help to make this possible. So staff and I think that we can make this happen for that date.
What's your
My
date?
last question, I'm sorry, my last question. Have we checked to make sure that other cities that are surrounding us are not having events at the same time that we're putting forth this date?
Yes, we have done so. Pompano is having a seafood festival 2 weeks prior.
That's okay.
But that is the
I know
only,
Jazz in the Garden is in March. Okay.
that's the only conflict that we found when we searched.
Okay. I'll second the motion.
Oh, you put the motion? Okay.
He made the motion.
Okay,
I'll
second. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner, Board Member Brandemart,
Yes.
Board Member Grace,
Yes.
Board Member Salvino,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Harris,
Yes.
Chairman James.
I just want to commend the executive director on changing the mind of board member Brenda Martin, because Lord knows that is not easy to do. She said yes, and she was like, no.
Well, as soon as she said she's going to cut back on the money, because let's face it.
I just want to commend that. That might be one of the highlights you need to write down right now.
Come on, Mayor.
It
Let's
don't-
face it. This event has
Yes.
been poorly run. We haven't made any money. The people that attended do not go to our local businesses unless it's a bar.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay, let's.
So you're going to be the star. And be quiet, Mayor.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm just saying. Write it down. Now we're going back to the RMA consultant services and the month-to-month agreements. Correct? Okay.
So with Arts and Seafood to Go, I think one of the ways that we can ensure success is to continue with RMA just for this year in particular, because we are, you know, in December and we anticipate a May event. If we could restructure their existing contract, their month-to-month is now $5,400. I think that we can talk to RMA, and I have been talking to RMA about how we can reduce it just for Arts and Seafood, and I'd be able to present you with a revised contract at our January meeting.
Okay. Sounds good.
When you say the end of the year, you mean January.
Pardon?
You don't mean another year, do
No,
you?
this year.
No,
Oh,
this year
cool,
coming
cool.
up.
Okay. Do we need action on that?
Consensus to, this is just discussion, possible action.
You can take action, Mayor, if you want.
Okay.
Motion to approve.
Approve what?
Second.
Motion to approve
Extending
what?
the contract with RMA
Only for the
through
seafood.
the seafood festival. Is that worded correctly?
Can I
I'm
ask-
gonna. Go ahead.
Are you gonna extend, they're gonna continue on from now till May, or are you just gonna ask them to contract through the seafood festival?
Just the seafood festival.
Their existing month-to-month encompasses about 5 duties. we would be removing 4 and just keeping on arts and seafood.
Got you.
Where they anticipated doing work for 2019, but we'll just have it for 2018.
Okay. So can you read back the motion?
My understanding is the motion is to keep the agreement with RMA for the arts and seafood celebration only.
For those scopes of services for the, okay, for
Only
those scopes of
through-
services, only for the Arts and Seafood Festival.
Correct. So
Okay.
their services would not be needed after the festival has happened.
But we are ending their month-to-month contract for everything else. Okay.
Yes.
Effective when, though?
Effective January, we're going to end the contract, or end the full month-to-month duties.
Until January 31st?
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second?
Second.
Who
Okay.
made the motion?
Board Member Grace.
Grace. And the second?
Board Member Brandon Marty.
Okay.
Oh. Y'all made it together. Okay.
Whatever.
Oh, Marco.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed?
Unanimous.
Okay, there's your vote. Now we're gonna go back to 5.3, which is the discussion of the position,
Part-time,
part-time position in
$18 an hour? What?
$15 an
Oh, I
hour.
gave him a $3 raise.
You
already.
sure did already.
Okay.
Go on, girl.
Okay, part-time, $15 an hour, motion to approve.
Well, hold on. We have some discussion. Board Member Salvino.
Well, I was just going to say what Board Member Grace said. I think now that you've moved on, and I think the direction that the procedure and the stepping that we did, I think it would be a great
The horse
idea for
before the
you.
cart.
Now that you're reducing the contract, you're saving some money there, working on the seafood festival, allowing your staff to move into a different position to do our promotions and advertising, and then bring in a part-time person to fill in those type of other duties that would consume that time. I think would be a great idea.
Board Member Brandon Marty.
Just reversing those numbers stopped you from ever even thought of being a failure. You're a star.
Oh goodness. Do we have a motion?
I'll second that
Wait a
for
minute.
the position.
Who
Who made
I'll
the
make a
motion?
motion. We all make a motion.
made the motion?
I'll make a-
I did,
She didn't.
Okay.
but if you don't want
second.
me to, I won't.
You know you. Okay, Queen Bee. Y'all feisty today.
approving
All in
it.
favor? Aye. All opposed? All right. Board Member comments. No, I said all opposed. Okay. Board Member comments. Board Member Salvino.
Well, first of all, I want to welcome Raquel to the position, your first meeting, and it was fun and and amusing. And I think that after speaking with you on a one-to-one and watching you in the meeting, I think you're going to do a great job. Happy to have you here, and you've got a great staff out there with Dan and what's those other two up front, Kathleen and
Keisha.
So I
Just
think
us.
you've got a good staff to work with over there. I think they'll work hard for you and make you a superstar, and they can be the stars if that works that way. But just welcome, and I'd
Pips.
be more than happy to do whatever I can to work with you.
Thank you.
Oh, okay. Board Member Grace.
You were very impressive from your presentation, and so that's why I think that you received a 5-0 vote for you to be in this position. My philosophy during my tenure with the City of Dania Beach is try to do the best I can to make sure that I please the taxpayers who voted me into office, to make sure that we're moving in the right direction. And I think because of the CRA, we have been able to focus on a lot of that. So I welcome you to the City of Dania Beach. I hope we have a wonderful relationship. I do not want this to just be CRA. We talked about CRA, City of Dania Beach. I want us to work hand in hand, because what one hand doesn't know, the other one might. So I think it's a win-win situation for all of us, and welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Board Member Brandon Marty.
Oh, well, I nominated her. That's why she's the best.
That's it?
I nominated her, so I'm proud.
Thank you.
Vice Chair.
Like I said, we had a couple of really long, good meetings, and had a night of entertainment the other night at the Gallery of Amazing Things, which we had an exceptional 400-person turnout at a really nice art event. So welcome to the community, and we'll help you however we can.
Thanks for the welcome.
I just want to welcome you again, and as you see, you're going to have some tough love, but I think it all comes from a very great place, and it stimulates conversation that makes sure that everyone is on the same page. I'm thankful for your composure and your ability to respond in a professional way to 5 very strong personalities up here on the dais, with leading us with the firecracker being Board Member Brandon Marty. And so I think you're doing a great job. I think your first meeting where you have not only brought out some of the problems and the issues that we've had, but you've brought out a lot of solutions and how to make us thrive and how to get things done in a timely manner. I think you have shown already your experience, and I can only hope for great things for the city. Board Member Grace, did you?
There is a gentleman in the audience that wanted to come and make a comment, and I didn't know whether you have time for that.
Oh, we have.
Yes.
We have some time. Oh.
Yeah, I'll be quick. I wasn't planning on commenting at all.
Okay. Well, when you come, please state your name.
Yeah,
and
my
address.
name is Jose Arman. I live at 50 Southeast 3rd Avenue.
Okay.
And the thing is that when Ms. Williams was talking about tracking food sales via buying in a special place, my questioning is, that would that limit to some extent that impulsive control buying? Let's say that I just happen to walk by a place and I want to buy something, but if I have to go line up somewhere to buy it, and I've already made a decision that I'm going to be on a diet and I'm not going to eat anything that day, so I might just not go ahead and eat it. The fact of having to line up somewhere to buy a ticket for a meal might just, I think, be detracting.
Board Member Savino.
That can easily be resolved with people walk around through the crowd selling tickets.
We did that for
You have people
the
that
motorcycle
we have
thing.
people that walk around. We'll have tickets on them if she wants, and they'll have a cash bank and they will sell tickets. So maybe we'll have 6 people walking through the crowd. That way you won't get hungry and not eat.
Okay.
And don't come if you're a vegan or you're on a diet.
Okay,
you're
thank
trying to
you.
look like Beyonce. Don't come to the festival.
Yeah, that was good.
Anyone else? All right. Well, I guess that was the end of my comments. Meeting adjourned. See you all at 7.
We only need an hour. Why are we taking them to come at 5:30?
This was a